So I've decided to do something with my life. It's a little bit strange, but I'm excited for it. And it is to start I'm going to call it a YouTube show with my wonderful son, Miles, who is currently in and out of sleep and has not been very happy. So I set all this stuff up just because, I'm doing it. And then he decided to crack it. And if you're a parent, then children don't necessarily respect your timing and your plans. They do what they want to do, and he's going out, so that's all right. I would have loved to have had him sit in this little dragon cushion that he has. It's very cute. One of our friends got it for us. But anyway, back to why am I doing this? Great question. It's a little bit strange, but I'm very excited to do it because it's something that I will have and will hold forever. And whether we do this monthly, however often we do this, my boy, it's a very special thing that we can always look back on, and we can reflect on some of the journeys in life we've been through, from being a little baby that's very annoying to, maybe a little toddler, a little dude. And then one day this will be yours. This glorious YouTube channel, probably with 4 subscribers, loyal friends, will be yours, my boy. Will be in your inheritance. Anyway, so what are we going to talk about and why do this? I want to share largely my beliefs. And I guess it's a way to pass on and take a snapshot of what I believe, what we as a family believe, why we believe it. And it's largely going to be about why we have our Christian faith. Why, of all the things we could believe, why do we believe in the Bible and in God, and why I believe in anything at all. We're going to break it down and talk a lot about it. It's something I'm passionate about personally, and I really want to leave to you, my son Miles, watching this in the future, and maybe to other people who would find it interesting. And it's a companion podcast, I call this. I know I called it my YouTube show. I don't know what to call it. But I like to think of this as a companion podcast. It's a podcast that you sort of pop on and just follow along with, just to hear about our life, what we're up to, and what we think, and hopefully to challenge and perhaps strengthen some of your own beliefs, things that you believe, and hopefully you get some value out of it. And we are getting value out of it by doing it and being able to have it forever. Thank you, YouTube, for hosting videos. We can make these ridiculous long 2-hour videos that are like 20 gig of memory, and we can post them on your platform, and you just hold them for free and show them back to us. That's amazing. And I don't think YouTube's going anywhere. They get a lot of fantastic marketing money, and they do well. So props to YouTube. I'm not an investor. I wonder if I could. I don't know if it's a publicly traded company. I don't know. Either way, I don't have an American stock exchange account. Only the ASX. Hey, mate, we firmly believe in the ASX. What do you think? Yep. He's yet to start his trading journey. I wouldn't say trading. I would say investing. I don't trade in shares, stocks. I buy boring old stocks, hold on to them for a long time. They're going to compound, and one day, mate, you're going to be the beneficiary of these little decisions I'm making. Dollar cost averaging, if you're into investing, it means basically putting a little bit of money in at a regular interval, just week in, week out, month in, whatever, however often you do it. And you do it for the long term, and you don't look at it, you don't check it, you don't speculate on certain risky stocks. You just do boring old index funds. They get an average of 7 to 11%, I think, per year increase across, the last 100 years. And so the idea is over time it compounds. 20, 30 years time, it starts to really, the magic of compound interest really starts to, hello, so those little eyes. Compound interest really starts to do its thing. I don't even know if I'm in the frame. This could look really bad. Maybe I feel like now I'm in front of it better. I apologize if that first half was me sitting on the edge of the frame. And you can see little Miles here now as well, my little dude. Compound interest. I don't know why we're talking about that straight away, but why not? It's a beautiful thing. 30 years time, mate, that money that we put in now, the interest will be making interest. That's the idea, I guess. And even at 7%, that outpaces inflation and you end up making money rather than your money sitting in the bank account. Bank accounts at the moment you get like 5%, which is amazing. 5.5% interest. Some bank accounts, isn't that right, mate? Do you want to name any banks? Maybe we get sponsorship. It's not a podcast about personal finance, but it's something that. Oh yeah, okay. You didn't want to be over here. Give me a second. Yeah, come here, my boy. You didn't want to look into the light. Is that better? Not really. A little bit. We are going to talk about lots of different things. I have lots of different interests, things that I'm interested in and researched and learned about over the years. And so I guess personal finance is one that I'm passionate about, or at one point in my life I was very passionate about, learned a lot about, and have implemented some very basic strategies, which, and the idea is long-term wealth generation or retirement planning, I guess. But it's just index funds. You basically buy a share in a group of companies. So if you're buying something like the Vanguard Australian VAS, it's called. It's the top 100, I believe. Top 100 companies in Australia at any given time. They invest in those 100, and then you're buying a tiny piece of each one. So it's like spread out, it's diversified, is the word, diversification. It's a wonderful thing. Can you breathe? He's buried. Yep, you didn't want to say anything. Buried in my chest. You're very cute. I hope one day you watch this back and you have a little giggle. Maybe we'll play this to you when you're like old enough to like talk and you can just watch it. It'll probably be pretty funny because you'll be like, man, I was tiny. Just a little dude. And I like your lemons. Who are you wearing today? Fantastic. His shirt on the front says Mama's Main Squeeze. Bit of a little punny joke there because they're lemons. And your mum does love you a lot. She's a great mum, isn't she? Yep, that would have been the cue to make a little cute noise. Instead, you're doing whatever this is. I don't know if you can see him, what he's doing. It's just, chomping on his arm and screwing up his face. And it's cute, but you definitely do other things that are cuter. He was in a really cute mood earlier. And then I was like, I put him down for a little nap because he was tired. And then he didn't want to wake up happy. And here we are. We're doing this anyway, though, because we committed to doing this today. And so we're doing it. All right. I feel like I rambled about compound interest and shares and stuff enough. If you have any questions, let me know. There's heaps of personal finance videos and stuff on YouTube. That's how I learned pretty much everything. Most things about personal finance was just watching different YouTubers and, take all advice, including mine, with a grain of salt. If you go and do what I do and it doesn't work, this is not advice, investment advice. I did mention a share, so VAS. If it tanks, I'm sorry. It won't, but if it does, it's not my fault. Why am I giving all these disclaimers, my boy? To my 3 followers. Our 3 followers. This is our thing. Oh, you want to hold on to it? Oh, come on, you make great noises and they're so cute. Oh, there's a little one. And a big yawn. Okay, so what do we believe? Let's just on this first proper episode, let's just start with some really broad brushstroke things. We are Christian, so we believe in the Bible, basic level. We believe in God. We believe in a God that created the world, all these wonderful things. I'll acknowledge from the outset, it's probably a weird way to go with this, but I'll just acknowledge that I understand for some people, Christianity, you're like, how could you believe such an outdated, such a unlikely story that, this man was born in the Middle East. Well, before that, obviously, that God, this being, divine being, created the world, allowed all these things to happen, caused all these things to happen, and allowed things to happen. And then this man came along and saves us all from our sin. And it is, when you look at it from an outsider point of view, I understand that it seems very unlikely, at times a bit ridiculous. to the casual observer may be sometimes contradictory, or you might ask questions like, how could this God allow these things to happen? Your God must be evil if he lets this stuff happen. And all I'll say now at this level is there are really good, compelling answers to all of the questions you might have. So if you're wrestling with something, if you are a Christian and you're wrestling with something and an idea that you find really challenging, I would just say that from my experience and from the questions I wrestled with, there's always really great answers and truth to be found. You've got to be willing to look, and you've got to have an open mind, I guess, or an open heart or something open to be able to sort of hear these things and not immediately dismiss them, but really think them through. Often things in the Bible make sense when looked at with a biblical worldview. So if you look at them, if you take one like isolated truth from the Bible and you compare it and you look at it from a worldly or an atheistic worldview, some of it doesn't make sense. And you're like, yeah, but why would that be the case? But it's like self-consistent. So within itself, the Bible is incredibly consistent. And you might say, well, there's this inconsistency, and I saw this guy on YouTube talking about this and blah, blah, blah. But there are answers and reasons, and it's very consistent. If you don't believe so, go and do some research and find some scholars, not me, if you want like deep dives. But, hey, your dad's talking. I know. How annoying, hey? Oh, you're sad again. Maybe we'll show them some of our moves. Yeah, if you crack it. Buddy. Hey. That's not a cute noise. It's definitely a noise. It's a little bit cute. Oh. The Bible is internally very consistent, and you often have to think, oh, well, wait a second, let's assume that this is true. Like, that's, I guess, the thing you do, that you assume first that if the Bible were true, then does this make sense? And that's when you go, okay, yeah, actually, if we are looking at it and we're talking about there's this divine being who created everything and is in control and understands the best outcomes for all of us and the best path forward and how he can most achieve his goals, then it makes sense of some of the things that otherwise don't make sense. So, hello. Especially when it comes to death. The view of death from a biblical worldview is very different to the view of death from an experiential, like the way we experience it as humans. We see death, it's very sad, it's tragic, and it is still, as Christians, death, absolutely tragic. But the Bible talks about us mourning in a different way from those who don't believe, and that is because we mourn with hope, and that is hope of eternal life. Another concept that at times seems a bit ridiculous, or a bit far-fetched is probably a better word, not ridiculous. A bit far-fetched, that, we will go on and live for eternity. Even the idea of living for eternity is bizarre and overwhelming. Hello, you don't want to talk about eternity? Or death? Come here. Let's try something. He likes movement. This is a classic one. When he's like cracking it, like crying a lot, often this just makes him kind of like, maybe it's just distraction. Hello. And then he calms down a little bit. You're a bit sad still. You're still a bit sad. I think this might work better in future if you're asleep. I think that's going to be the play from now on. Like, normally I wait, when he's asleep, I wait for him to wake up before we think about doing anything like this. It's only happened once before. But I think the play is actually, hey, Miles is asleep. But then will you stay asleep? That's the question. Anyway, we've got a big light right here that's on us. So I don't know if he'd like to sleep with that. Anyway, I think this is going well, my boy. I'm sorry that you are not enjoying this. I am enjoying this. That's how he feels. Not so much enjoying it. I'm sure you're enjoying this like time together. Are you hungry? The babies, when you like touch their cheeks, it makes them like think it's a nipple, and they like, either if they're hungry they turn towards it, or they'll be like, yeah, I'm sorry, I'm explaining things, and you're just like, pay me attention, Dad. Hello. boy. I didn't like that. Hey. My little man. Are you hungry? I did feed you very recently, so I don't think you're hungry. If anything, I think you're tired or uncomfortable. Yeah. Come on now. He wants to take over. I think he's like, Dad, you've talked too long. The people have had enough of your voice and they want to hear me. And he can't talk, so this is all he can do. It's a bit melodic. We do wonder if he's going to be a singer. Oh, my boy. Hey. If I haven't edited this is like the true meaning of companion podcast. Like you watching me like wrestle with my baby and try to like calm him. If I've left this all in, then like go make yourself a cup of tea or something. I don't know. Hey. You feel a bit warm. Are you hot? Your dad's pretty hot just holding you. You're like a little heater. Hey. Dummy. It's been sitting there the whole time. Was that the key? Have we cracked it? Maybe I sit you in your little spot. Hey. Keep sucking. Focus here. Nah. Not on, my boy. He does this thing where he like stiffens out like a board, and it makes him really hard to hold because he's just like straightens out. And you're strong, aren't you? You know. Yeah, there you go. Getting a good view of you. Okay. Do I just keep putting that back in? Because like you spit it, but then you want it again. It's very confusing. You're sending mixed messages. And my wife is home. Your mother. Your mum's home. Is that exciting? Does that excite you? She's going to think this is ridiculous when she walks in. Hello. Wow, it's bright. You're not going to interrupt us? Let us keep rolling? I reckon another 10 minutes and we'll probably be done. We'll wrap it up. All right. Say hello to your mother. He's actually been like not good. He's been cracking it and not happy, just restless. But right now he's good. Anyway, so we were talking about some deep stuff. But essentially about why we are Christians, why we believe in God, and the internal consistencies of the Bible and the Christian worldview. Which I think like I'd like to maybe we'll talk about more specific things in future. But for now, broad brushstrokes. Yeah. The Bible and I think the Christian worldview has a lot of answers. You know, it gives a lot of answers for some of the big questions in life. And I think it gives a lot more answers than it gives issues or problems. Okay. Answers for why the world is the way it is, why we are the way we are, the human nature, why the human experience is the way it is, and you know, all the things, why the world exists as well. It's another pretty classic one that is hard to reconcile. Whichever way you look at it, whatever you believe, it's hard to understand the beginning of the origin of existence, of the universe and of time and all the things. It's very mind-boggling. Our minds definitely can't fully comprehend any of it. We can, and even the biblical account, it is, I believe it's true, but I think there's perhaps the biblical account for us to understand, and then there is perhaps something same but different that actually happened in reality that we couldn't possibly comprehend, can't be written in words. But the biblical account gives us something to sort of understand and believe and hold on to. Your mother's, she's walking around in her little slippers. They're very noisy, but they probably can't be heard through this. House slippers. We're an Asian household, so we don't wear shoes inside, but we have little slippers that we wear around the house. And for those, probably no one watching this who doesn't know me and my wife, but my wife is, her name's Veda, and she was born in Australia, but she is of Chinese descent. China. So, wow, can you hear her? Anyway, China. That was pretty bad. You know who it was, but if you're watching this, Trump, g'day. He is half Chinese. Look at him. Pretty beautiful little mix. Half Chinese and half me. What am I? Great question. I'm Australian. Actually, I want to get into that one of these days. I have a bit of a I'm a passionate Australian, and I've become a patriotic Australian. I went through a stage where I really felt like an immigrant, and I felt like I wasn't supposed to be here, and my descendants just came and did bad things, and I'm a bad person for it. But I've really reconciled with, no, I am Australian, 100%. Love Australia, and I'm now very patriotic about being Australian. I'm not endemic to Australia. I think that's the right word. I'm not a native. My skin doesn't like the sun here. Can't handle it. A bit weak. But I am Australian through and through, and I'm probably Scottish French. I'm not a son of or a descendant of an English what are they called, convict, but I imagine much later my descendants came here on boats probably, or flew here. I know my parents were actually from New Zealand. They lived in Australia, lived in New Zealand. Anyway, you don't need to know that. I'm a European mutt, I call myself. So I'm a bit of a blend. Who knows what's in there? Probably a bit of Dutch. Probably a bit of something. It's good, hey. What's the angle like, by the way? Because I haven't been able to see.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Not bad. The framing. You're such a good boy. This is the spot. This is the.
Zoom in on this.
No, just leave it. Don't touch the thing, because it'll change and go off, and we're on a roll here.
Are you going to edit this one?
Maybe. There was one spot where I was just lifting him up in the air, trying to get him to calm, and I was like, I might edit that out. But I've explained that it's a companion podcast.
He's got a little side smile.
That's cute. I want to take the dummy out so you can see his little smile, but that might. No, let's leave it. It's a companion podcast, babe, I called it. I firstly called it our show, mine and Miles' YouTube show, because it's on YouTube and it's kind of like a show because it's reoccurring episodes. But I think it's more like a companion podcast. You chuck us on, what are Ruben and Miles up to? What's Ruben going to ramble about today? And in future, what's Miles going to add and contribute to the conversation? Because you got no words at the moment. Except the other day we asked him what one of his toys was called, and he made a sound that sounded a little bit like Amy. So he has an octopus named Amy. It's one of these crinkly octopus toys. Pretty fun. It didn't sound exactly like Amy. That was a very large stretch on our behalf. It's probably hey, Amy. Yeah. Anyway, I love you, my boy. We're not going to go too much longer because we have dinner plans. But thank you for joining. If you watched this and you've gotten this far in, please leave a little comment. Let me know who's here. It's probably not many of you. I'm guessing maybe 4 people will watch this fully. I think I might mention that at the start. You know who you are. We know who they are. They're the loyal ones. Thanks, Alex. Alex would have loved that. Hey. Alex who, you ask? I know several Alexes. I don't know. He'll know, though. Anyway, I've gone around lots of different, back and forth between different things. But Christianity, we are Christians. We are thinking, thoughtful Christians, meaning we don't just sort of go along blindly and believe whatever we're told. We like to understand the origins of what we believe and seek truth in the Bible and in our experience of life. But yeah, very much devout Christians, I would say. At times, I'm pretty slack with reading my Bible and stuff. We pray very consistently, especially since having this little guy and all the challenges and health challenges he had in the beginning of his life and stuff. There'll be something else about that somewhere. But we are very much a praying household, and that's like the way we speak to God. And I believe that prayer is powerful and effective. And when we do pray, I believe that it makes a difference. Although I understand God has perfect knowledge of the future events, I believe our prayers are useful, and He hears them, and God wants us to pray. He wants us to communicate, speak with Him. And then the other side of the conversation, because conversation is two ways, is that the Bible is how we hear from God. So we read the Bible and we learn what the Bible is trying to tell us. We don't necessarily just flick through and take something out of context and apply it to our life, or think it's for us when it's perhaps not for us. But there's a lot of really valuable lessons and things that God is trying to say through the Bible to us. And there's I think there's answers for everything in the Bible. No, there's not an answer for everything. There is an answer to every question about why about the human experience. Like, that it's not going to tell you about like the benefits of polyester over cotton, or how the human eye works, because 2,000 years ago, 4,000 years ago, they had no concept of how the human eye worked. They probably thought it was like sorcery. Well, they would have thought it was just something given by God. And there's an interesting thought rabbit hole to go down about what people in ancient times would have thought of like natural phenomena, or the way they would have viewed the world, not knowing what we know today. Because we know so much about science and about how things work and why things are the way they are. We take for granted, I think. And it's interesting to reflect on, okay, what would people have thought 700 years ago? What did your average Joe Blow think when he saw lightning? When he was in his house, a storm came, you could feel it in the air, and all of a sudden there's like a lightning striking, and it's hitting trees and they're exploding. And later you can see the aftermath, and people are getting struck and dying. And like, that would have been, I think people would have thought that it was the hand of God. Absolutely. I think maybe God uses lightning, or has in the past. Like, the Bible talks about like fire striking the earth and different things happening, and I can't help but think, is that lightning? And not to discredit or discount the credibility of the story, that it was just natural things, and we just named it that and called it God, and it was all human fabricated. But I think God uses natural things often to achieve His purposes. I've definitely seen that in my own life. Like, I haven't seen fire fall from heaven, but lots of things have happened that are kind of natural, that I would attribute to God, or I would call the work of God, or God intervening, or making a difference in a situation. Anyway, like your little life, we prayed a lot for you, little man. Miles had a bunch of complications in the very beginning of his life, and has been doing so well, recovering really well. You're amazing. I love you so much.
That's a good plug.
Plug what?
Plug the other podcast.
Yeah, me and Veda, my wife, I don't know if you can hear her in the background, we made a video about our pregnancy journey, and it was before Miles came along, and it was about, we had a lot of scans, we had a lot of scares, lots of things went on. It's like a 2-hour video, but if you've made it this far in this video, you should go and watch that one, because like the first half an hour might be like a bit slow and boring, but we get into some meat, and it's great. And again, it's a companion podcast. Don't expect action-packed business. It's, we're just meandering through life. But it's great. Go and watch it. And we'll probably do another one soon together. I actually really like doing it with Veda. She's a lot of fun.
I'm a hoot.
She is a hoot. I feel like we have a fun time doing them. So we'll do one post-pregnancy. Post-pregnancy, after little man's come along, little Miles. And it'll be about the pregnancy journey in the hospital and the NICU, which is ICU for little babies. Aww. Yeah, just talking about the NICU's made him like... All right, that is time to wrap it up. Love you very much. Thank you for watching this.
Who do you love?
I'm looking at you. No, I was looking at the camera. I don't know. Future, everyone. I love everyone.
Yeah.
I love all people. Yeah. Some people I love with different types of love. Like I love humanity in a broad sense. But I love like my family in a much different way. I love Future Miles. Future Miles, you're watching this. That's bizarre to think that you are watching this in the future. And you're understanding it. And you're able to see yourself. That's the cue. This is the cue, isn't it? All right. Love you. See ya.